she is now a Disney princess.
She destroyed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of IP for Disney, but she also has destroyed her career and the careers of anybody who worked on the movie.
EV Magazine wrote on X, when you compare how Rachel Zegler spoke about Snow White to how other actresses who played live-action Disney princesses spoke about their character, really underlines just how poorly she carried herself.
What happens when a Disney princess dream turns into a $270 million nightmare, and then Hollywood's Golden Girl steps in to save the day? Disney's Snow White saga has been a roller coaster of epic fails and bold reboots, and now Margot Robbie's name is lighting up headlines as the new face of the iconic fairy tale. But how did we get here? Buckle up, because this story's got more twists than a poisoned apple plot, and it all starts with a disaster that shook the House of Mouse to its core.
Some people who know a lot of films do it in a way where they're like, oh, you haven't seen no.
Rachel Zegler was supposed to be Disney's next big thing, a fresh-faced star ready to bring Snow White into the modern age. Instead, she became the poster child for one of the studio's biggest flops. The live-action remake, released in March 2025, was a colossal misfire. With a jaw-dropping $270 million budget, it barely scraped past $50 million domestically in its first week. Critics tore it apart, fans raged online, and the whole thing spiraled into a viral mess Disney couldn't escape. By the second weekend, it was dethroned by a mid-budget action flick, cementing its place as a box office punchline. But the money wasn't the only thing that went up in flames. So did Zegler's rising star, and she wasn't alone in the wreckage.
Weekend 2 delivers even more box office humiliation for Snow White.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
it?
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
So what sparked the fire? Zegler didn't just play Snow White, she took a sledgehammer to the original story. In interviews, she called the 1937 classic weird, slamming the prince as a stalker and insisting her version wouldn't be about true love. She pitched it as a feminist overhaul, Snow White as a leader, not a damsel. Sounds empowering, right? Except fans didn't buy it. Social media erupted with accusations of woke pandering, and her comments hit a nerve. It's no longer 1937, she declared, but to many it felt like she was trashing a timeless tale for clout. The backlash wasn't just loud, it was relentless, and it only got worse from there.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
Behind closed doors, things were even messier. The film's producer, Mark Platt, reportedly flew to New York to confront Zegler after her social media rants went off the rails. She'd taken shots at everything from Donald Trump to the original film's fans, and Disney was scrambling to contain the damage. Platt's son, Jonah, didn't hold back either. He blasted her online, saying she dragged personal politics into a multi-million-dollar gig she was paid to promote. The studio even hired a social media guru to vet her posts. But by then, the red carpet was a ghost town. Journalists weren't even invited to the premiere. They feared she'd say something to sink it deeper. And honestly, who could blame them?
I could sort of feel the edges of truth everywhere. Young Rachel Zegler, I would say, probably is at the point where she's believing in the excitement of it all. And who can blame her? Who can blame her? Because it is very exciting to be told you're brilliant all day long if some point in the past you felt that you were worthless, as I did.
The numbers tell the brutal truth. Opening weekend pulled in a measly $43 million. Chump change compared to hits like Beauty and the Beast, which raked in $174 million out the gate. By week 2, it dropped 66%, limping to $50 million domestically, while the global total stalled under $100 million. Against that $270 million price tag, insiders predict a $115 million loss after streaming and merch are factored in. It's not just a flop, it's a historic humiliation, earning the lowest IMDb rating ever for a Disney live-action remake at 1.6 out of 10. Zegler's legacy tied to a sinking ship that dragged down everyone who touched it, but that wasn't the whole story.
I was looking at the chat, and some of you guys were like, we need a few less Snow White-like movies. I couldn't agree with you more. Like, all this woke stuff has to end.
Enter Margot Robbie, Hollywood's A-list darling and Disney's new hope. Just when it seemed Snow White was cursed, the studio dropped a bombshell. Robbie's taking the crown in a brand new live-action remake. This isn't a sequel or a patch job. It's a full reset, a clean slate to erase the Zegler era. After Barbie made her a global icon, raking in over $1 billion, Disney's betting big on her star power to pull them out of the fairy tale gutter. The announcement hit like lightning, and it's already got fans buzzing about what's next.
And you know what? There's a reason for it to end right now, and it's in part because this stupid movie, Snow White, just totally bombed at the box office. They spent $270 million on this thing. They're not going to make their money back.
This time, Disney's flipping the script, literally. Gone is the woke overhaul that tanked the last version. Sources say this reboot's diving back into classic storytelling. Think charm, romance, and whimsy, not lectures. The dwarfs are back too after their weird CGI makeover last time sparked outrage. They'll be faithfully reimagined with modern tweaks, keeping the heart of the 1937 original intact. Music's getting a glow up as well. A lush, reimagined score with new songs to rival Someday My Prince Will Come. It's a love letter to the past, but with one foot in today's world, and what happened next would shock everyone.
And now the producer's son is coming out and blaming the whole thing on Rachel Zegler. He's not wrong. I mean, Rachel Zegler tanked this. There's a lot of other reasons they tanked it.
Margot Robbie's not just a pretty face, she's a powerhouse. Fresh off Barbie's cultural takeover, she's proven she can blend humor, heart, and grit like nobody else. I, Tonya showed her edge, Babylon her wild side, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood her timeless vibe. Snow White's a curveball. She's traditionally sweet and soft, while Robbie's known for complex, bold roles. But insiders swear she's perfect, promising a princess with inner strength and grace, not just a kick-ass trope. Disney's banking on her to win back moviegoers who ditched the last one, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
I mean, journalists weren't even invited to show up at the red carpet for the premiere because they were afraid she was going to say something that would hurt the movie even more.
Online, the reaction's a mixed bag. Some fans are hyped, calling Robbie inspired and unexpected, while others aren't sold. Can she pull off Snow White's innocence? One skeptic asked. Purists worry she's too mature, but her fans argue that's her strength. She'll make the role her own. Speculation's running wild about the prince and evil queen too. No names yet, but whispers hint at big stars to match Robbie's wattage. After the last film's weak side characters, Disney's not messing around. They want a cast that pops, and there's more brewing behind the scenes.
Hollywood became so confused over identity politics that it turned on itself because insiders say the industry never held any true values.
I think it's really on her to go back and correct the record now because she was spreading a lot of fear and disinformation.
This isn't just about Snow White, it's Disney's shot at redemption. After a string of live-action duds, Mulan, Pinocchio, and now Zegler's mess, the studio's reputation is on life support. They're pouring everything into this, from a new creative team to early 2026 production and a spring 2028 release. Concept art's already wowing investors with storybook villages and lush forests, nodding to the hand-drawn magic of 37. The CEO, or whoever's in charge by then, put it blunt: we're not redoing Snow White, we're doing it right. If it flops though, the fairy tale trust could be gone for good.
Everything has to be that. You know, this is a, and also what is beautiful about the original Snow White too is the hand-drawn animation, right? Is the beauty of the cartoon. Yeah, and it's really there's an authenticity to it. Do these orgies of CGI animation recycling in a loveless format the exact same now every story is the same story about, again, a kick-ass female protagonist?
So here's the big question: can Margot Robbie pull Disney out of its live-action slump, or is Snow White cursed to crash again? Zegler's run left scars, hundreds of millions lost, careers dented, and fans burned. Robbie's got the talent, the buzz, and a fresh vision backing her, but the internet's a fickle beast, and Disney's walking a tightrope. One thing's for sure, this isn't just a movie, it's a showdown between a fallen princess and a studio fighting to reclaim its magic. What do you think? Will Robbie's Snow White be the happily ever after Disney needs? Stick around, because this tale's far from over.